Hey, welcome. Ever wonder about the secrets behind how and why we spend our money? Well, today we're going to crack open one of the biggest ones in economics, and we're going to do it with a fable.
It all boils down to this one really simple but kind of profound question. Think about it. Why do we always have to spend something, even when we have absolutely no money coming in? Spending just doesn't hit zero, right? It can't. And that is the exact puzzle we're going to solve together.
All right, so let's set the scene. Our story kicks off in the court of none other than the Lion King. And he's got a big problem, a real head-scratcher about the economy in his forest kingdom. The poor guy is just baffled. One season, the fruit market is absolutely booming, everyone's buying and selling, and then the next, crickets. It's totally quiet. He's got this gut feeling that there's some kind of hidden rule, some secret logic to how his subjects are spending, but for the life of him, he can't figure it out. So just as the king is about to give up, the wise old turtle steps forward, and she has the answer. The key, she says, isn't some crazy, complicated economic theory. No. It all comes down to the super simple, everyday habits of a squirrel. And just like that, the spotlight shifts. We're zeroing in on this squirrel, whose totally normal habits are about to unlock a massive economic truth. This is where it gets good. So the squirrel is brought before the king, and he lays out his first rule. It's dead simple. He's like, look, some things are non-negotiable. I gotta eat to live, right? So even when nuts are hard to find, when his income is basically zero, his spending never stops. It can't. There's always a baseline, a minimum he has to spend just to get by.
And the turtle jumps right on this. She makes sure everyone in the court hears it loud and clear. This is the first absolutely critical piece of the puzzle. Spending, or what economists call consumption, it has a floor. It always starts somewhere above zero, simply because, you have to survive.
Okay, so that naturally leads to the next big question, right? And the king is right on it. He's like, all right, I get it. I know what he does when he's broke. But what happens when he gets more nuts? What does he do when he suddenly has a ton of income? And boom, here's the second rule, just as important as the first. The squirrel says, yeah, of course, when I get more nuts, I spend more. But, and you gotta catch this, he doesn't spend every single extra nut. He spends some, for sure, but he also squirrels some away. He saves a bit for later. Okay, now this is where it gets really cool. The turtle sees the light bulb go on over the king's head. He's starting to get it. So she decides to draw a picture, something that will make this idea stick forever. This is the big aha moment of the whole story. So she grabs a branch and draws a simple chart in the sand. On the up and down axis, she puts spending, which we'll call C. On the side-to-side axis, she puts income, or YD. And here's the magic. The line she draws doesn't start at the corner, at zero. Nope, it starts a little bit up the spending axis, and then it climbs steadily from there. That one single line, it tells the squirrel's entire story. All right, that was a great story, right? But now, let's switch gears. Let's decode the fable and translate what the turtle just showed us into some real-world economics. Because everything we need to know is right there, in that simple line she drew in the sand. First up, that starting point, that minimum amount the squirrel has to spend just to survive, even with zero income. That has a name. It's called autonomous consumption. And in the formula, we just call it A. That's the reason the line doesn't start at zero. Okay, next, let's talk about how steep that line is. The slope. That little bit of each extra nut that the squirrel decides to spend, that fraction, that's called the marginal propensity to consume. We call it B. And that little b is what decides if the line is super steep or kind of flat. And when you put those two pieces together, the starting point and the slope, you get this beautiful simple formula. This is it, the consumption function. Your total spending, C, equals that baseline spending, A, plus your tendency to spend, B, times your disposable income, YD. That's it. That's the secret law of spending, the turtle uncovered. And look at how perfectly this all lines up. The squirrel's basic survival needs, that's our A. The portion of extra nuts he decides to spend, that's B. All the nuts he has to work with, that's his disposable income, YD. And what does it all add up to? His total spending, C. The fable maps one-to-one with the economic formula. It's perfect. So here's the really cool part. That B value, it's basically your financial personality. If you have a high B, you're a big spender. Get 10 extra bucks, you're outspending 8 of them. And your line on that graph, it's going to be really steep. But if you have a low B,
You're more of a cautious saver. You get 10 extra bucks, maybe you only spend 3. Your line is going to be much, much flatter. All right, let's bring it all home. We're heading back to the forest, back to the Lion King, who's finally cracked the code. And the king gets it. He has that big moment of clarity. He realizes spending isn't just random chaos. It has a foundation, a floor. That's our A. And from there, it grows in a totally predictable way, all based on the spending habits, the B, of everyone in his kingdom. So let's just nail down the key takeaways. Number 1, consumption never, ever starts from 0. Number 2, when your income goes up, so does your spending, but probably not by the whole amount. And number 3, we can capture this whole relationship with one super simple formula, C equals A plus BYD. And that leaves us with one final question for you. This whole thing isn't just a fable about a squirrel, right? It's about you. It's about me. It's about all of us. So think about it. When you get an extra $100, how much of it do you actually go out and spend? What's your B value? Are you a spender or are you a saver?
So the consumption function is C equals A plus B.